Now it's time for the Veterans' Voice. This week, Minister for Veterans Affairs, Johnny Mercer, gave a speech to the Conservative Party conference. Let's take a listen.
You can feel the change this week. Long-term decisions for a brighter future actually mean something, right? Take my crusade on Veterans Affairs. I joined this party because, like many ordinary Britons today, I saw it as the party of the nation. Moderate, patriotic, committed and values-driven.
With me now is founder and chief executive of ForceSelect, Hugh Andree. Welcome, Hugh. What does he mean by a better deal for veterans? What is he talking about?
Well, you know, that's really interesting. And it's all been about the Conservative Party conference this week and changing for the future and trust us and honesty, etc. So that was all great. But I was particularly interested in, of course, what does that mean for the veterans? What does it mean for the veterans community? What does it mean for their families? I have a copy of the whole speech here, and I suppose in layman's terms, I couldn't see a lot. I couldn't see a lot at all.
Another conference speech, in other words.
I could see a lot about what's happened in the past, what's over our shoulders and what's gone. Mm-hmm. I could see a lot about support, about pathways, about crisis, etc.
Verbiage.
Yeah, and you know, as Mike and I we mention all the time consistently, what this slot, what this programme is about is just trying to change the narrative around veterans, mm-hmm. Not victims, assets. You know, and what Johnny Mercer's referred to America, Australia. I noticed he's down in Australia this morning, etc. You know, what can we learn from them, etc., etc. So for me, it was all about what is in the future. Then we're going to change the future, of course, as always. What does that actually mean? And when I looked at it, you know, I couldn't see anything. There was nothing in there about the future, and I challenge anyone to find anything in his speech which talks about what we're going to do for the future. Now, you know, what gives me the right, Kev, to be here, actually? Well...
Every right, you're a veteran.
I'm a veteran, and I've worked in the veterans community, and I've got north of now 35 years experience doing that. I've put 4,000 veterans into employment over the last 13 years. So I think I have an understanding of where the grumbling's been, and some of it's a bit whinging, etc. But ultimately, there are half a dozen key requirements for any member of the armed forces, what we call resettling, or the modern day phrase, of course, is transitioning from one.
Be careful with that phrase.
One type of lifestyle into another. And you know, I spent years and years around soldiers. I had the privilege, I had the honour of leading great men and women on live operations around the world. And the one thing you can guarantee from the British service man or woman is honesty. And they tell it as you see it. And, you know, people... I heard someone on the radio last night banging on about Ruperts, officers, etc., and being saluted. Soldiers, sailors, airmen and women do not salute an officer. They salute the Royal Commission on their shoulders.
Absolutely.
Yeah? And you have to earn your spurs as an officer to gain their respect. I went straight out of what they call the Chappie factory at Sandhurst. I went straight from there to West Belfast. I was 20 years of age and I commanded 30 soldiers on the streets of West Belfast, and I actually had my 21st birthday on the Falls Road. Yeah. Now, I think, sorry, that gives me a sort of a right to at least have an opinion, but what the military personnel, what the veterans are saying, and dare I say, what the wider public are saying, yeah, heard it all before.
Mm-hmm. Now, listen, what's he called? Johnny Mercer, the Veteran Affairs Minister. You know, he made this sort of nebulous, platitudinous speech, as you say. What they tend to make these speeches at conference. Yeah, we're going to have a better deal for veterans. What does it actually mean? Yeah. So what should he do right now? What would be the best thing Johnny Mercer and indeed the government could do right now to help veterans?
First of all, engage with them and ask them what it is they want. I've invited Johnny Mercer onto this show. I've invited Rachel Hopkins from Labour. I'm apolitical. I work for Sovereign, you know, the military, armed forces, veterans. It's a cross-party responsibility. So we're not here to wear a coloured scarf. Far from it. But ultimately, you have to engage with your community. And you've got to ask them, what is it that you want? Learn to listen and understand, you know, what it is. Because
what is it that they want?
I'll tell you exactly what they want to do, and this actually was instigated by Boris Johnson, is they want this country to be the best country in the world to be a veteran. And I wholeheartedly back that.
Why don't we look after veterans? I mean, we all know there are way too many veterans. Disproportionate number of Britain's homeless people are military veterans. Why is it that we don't look after our heroes?
Yeah. Well, that's a really good question. And I think historically, I mean, I grew up and I served throughout the Troubles. And, you know, I think there's a lot of lip service given to the men and women who kept this country safe. You'll remember that very well, Kev. You know, there were bombs going off in London. There were horses being killed in Hyde Park, yeah? There were bombs going off in Warrington, etc. More soldiers died in Northern Ireland during the Troubles from 1969 to whenever it was, 95, when the peace agreement was signed. Might be 96, but more died in that conflict than Afghanistan, Iraq combined.
I remember those days. I mean, London was a very dangerous place.
Yeah, but what can stop? And, you know, fair play, Johnny Mercer here. We started hounding. We would release all the terrorists, give them a letter, pardoning them, apologising for troubling them and banging them up, and then we go hounding British soldiers in their 70s and 80s, trying to put them in prison. What the hell's that about?